Did you know 63% of consumers would rather watch videos that are relatable and authentic rather than ones that are slick, well edited, and have high production values? This stat comes from HubSpot. And if you're a coach, course creator, healer, other expert who wants to use video to grow your business, but you don't want to have to change who you are or feel like a salesy weirdo when you're on camera, this video is for you. If people prefer real, relatable videos over fancy high production values, this is great if you're just getting started because that means you don't have to buy a lot of fancy equipment or lights or anything. What you need to do is focus on your message, what you're actually going to say in the videos, and just make the production quality just good enough. And I promise you, if you have a smartphone or a webcam, it's probably good enough to create the videos that you need to create to build a connection with your audience. One of the things that I hear a lot from coaches, course creators is, why should I create a video? Why would anybody listen to me when there's this best-selling author, this expert who's been on Oprah, this person who has a top 10 podcast, and I'm just a little person. I was working with a coach who said that exact same thing to me. She said, "Why should I be creating all this content? Nobody wants to listen to me. They want to listen to these top experts." And the truth of the matter is, you don't have to be an expert to share your knowledge, share your experience, share your expertise. And even if you're just a beginner, one of the things you can do is think about creating content as a reporter. So you don't have to be the one that invented this strategy or that you've developed this whole brand new system that nobody in the world has ever done. As you're learning things, and figuring out what works and what doesn't in your field, share that with your audience. Show that you're learning new things and help people pick and choose which are the parts that they should focus on. And don't pretend that you're the top expert in the field. You're just a little bit ahead of your audience. And honestly, if they're beginners, they're probably going to appreciate that more than somebody who's the top authority and they seem so far away from them that they just never going to reach that. So focus on your value and your messaging over production. But if you're listening to me and saying, "Andrea, I really want to know a little bit more about gear," I've created this video about what equipment you actually need to get started making video, and that'll get you started. Another reason people feel like they don't want to be doing video marketing is they have this secret fear that they're going to sound like one of those late night infomercials, the one that's, "It slices, it dices, and for just 9.99, it'll vacuum your living room and empty the dishwasher," and all those crazy overly hyped sales. And one of the reasons people feel like their content needs to be a little overhyped is they listen to experts who are telling them, "You must do this in your marketing. You must do that." And some of these ways don't feel authentic. So for example, one of the things that we've all heard is use scarcity in your marketing. And that can work if it's authentic and real. For example, if you're a coach and you have room for 2 new one-on-one coaching clients, you can talk about that in your videos, in your marketing, and say, "I've got room for 2 clients," because that's legitimate. You only have so many hours in the day. You can't work with hundreds and hundreds of people. So scarcity from that point of view is authentic because it's real. But what if you're selling an ebook? If you say, "I only have 10 copies for sale," everybody knows that's crap. You know it's crap. Your audience knows it's crap. If you have an ebook, you could sell millions of copies and, that's there's no shortage because it's digital. So don't try to be falsely aggressively marketing in your content. Instead, think about what your values are and what is true for you and talk about those in your videos And don't let somebody else tell you you must become a different person or use false scarcity or false scare tactics or anything that doesn't resonate with you. It's your business. You get to choose what you want to talk about. And if it doesn't resonate with you, if it doesn't align with your values, don't do it in your videos. Don't do it in your other marketing. Be true to who you are. The other important factor in growing your audience and growing your business with video is you want to be telling a story. We want to hear stories. Human beings want to hear stories and connect via stories. Human beings are hardwired to hear stories. And when you're creating a video like this, people aren't going to remember the stats and figures and statistics. They're going to remember the stories you tell. So, can you tell a story that resonates with your audience that's authentic? And I can tell you, I've spoken to hundreds of coaches, healers, course creators, and I've never met one who doesn't have a story about why they started their business. And it's usually a personal story. It's never about, I wanted to go online and make lots of money. It's, I struggled with this problem and I finally figured it out. And now I want to help other people do it. I had this particular health problem and nobody would help me. I went to doctors and naturopaths and chiropractors. And then I finally found somebody who helped me. And now I want to help people do that. So if you have a story about why you started your business, talk about it in a video. That is going to attract people who are an ideal client for you much faster than a million statistics, a million teaching techniques. Because if somebody has the same problem that you had, they're going to feel like you're talking to them and they're going to trust that maybe you're the person to help them because you've already overcome it. So tell your story in a video and then keep telling stories because stories are the thing that people will remember and people will feel a connection to. So, just to recap, you don't need to have a slick, well edited, fancy video. If you have an authentic message that's relatable to your audience, using words that you would use if you were talking to them in person, you don't have to be the top expert in your field. And if you tell stories, that's going to help you grow your audience, grow your business online. So let me know, do you have a story that about how you started your business, why you started your business? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear what you have to say.